Okay.
What we want to talk about is I want to talk about this amazing thing that you created for yourself, and it's like, okay, so we were working together and you had this vision. So share about the whole vision and then, what came fast and all it.
A long time ago, I had a vision about creating a wellness center. After going through the experience myself of um, with back problems and all kinds of pain management issues, and going through the whole medicine cycle of basically being overloaded with medicine, and just kind of, I was so frustrated with the medical system. And somewhere in there, after I had worked with Sandy Anthony and done the Trinity Energy and started working. Somewhere in there, I just started getting this idea of, well, why can't we create a wellness center where they pull in some of the medical and some Eastern medicine and Western medicine together and create the center for to give people options, just to give it options. And then I started getting more visions of it kept growing, getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and like, well, no, you need to include this, and no, you need to include this. And
Well,
part of
back
it
up for
was
back up for a second though, because like for a while you were really reticent to even talk about it. Like you were very like, I don't know why. Like some of the conversations we had was like, I don't know. I'm having this vision. I don't know. Should I do this right? And that was some of the stuff you had to work through it yourself because, everybody has those imposter syndrome issues.
absolutely, yeah, no, I had I mean, when you see you you get this vision of that, man, this is an awesome idea, but you're like, I don't have any experience with any part of this, so I don't know how to create it. I
Yep.
don't know what to do with it. And I also I have family that's in the medical field, and so I couldn't really talk about it very much with very many people because it enraged them of, no, you're just going against what we do. No, that's not it. I'm just trying to give options for people.
Yeah. And
So
you constantly like that was something that you had to check in with yourself on with worthiness issues, all,
right.
all kinds of, but if I remember correctly, like old like family agreements and other lifetime things and all that kind of stuff, right?
Oh, I mean, I've done so much work, it's unreal. Yeah. And even just doing energy work, I've done it on myself, but I'm like, okay, I don't really know that I could do it on other people. And so I've experimented a little bit with that, and I was headed down that road of opening my own. Um, but yeah, no, I mean, this vision just kept growing, and then I mean, eventually it developed into this mind, body, spirit, that it wasn't just medical. It was a
We
way to
started
bring
with
in.
we started with what? Like you said, we started with, well, then you got to start seeing clients first.
Right, we gotta start seeing clients first, right? And I did, and I did. I started seeing some clients, and
And
I
that
got a
took
little confidence,
yes, I was
started
gonna say that
building
took a little bit of
confidence,
work. Yeah.
a little bit of work still. Um, and yeah, so then I got my confidence, and I just have kind of sit back, and I mean, I've still had this vision of the center, and it's just kind of um I mean, I don't know. I worked for years. I worked with Sandy, then I worked with you, and I've worked on myself, and so it's just been a mind blowing experience of change. Um,
Well, and we got to the point where we're talking about it, and what did we talk about as well? Create that vision, right? Let it come through, like let it be. And you were saying, I don't know how to do this, and I was like, well, you don't need to know how. If you're getting the vision, then set it out there, right?
yeah, and so yeah, that's kind of what you told me. Just put it up on the shelf. Just set it there and let it percolate.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what I did. I just put it on the shelf, and I really focused on myself instead of on it. Um, and ironically, I was when I started, after I started seeing some clients, then I started trying to expand my business, and I was getting frustrated with that. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? I'm just, this is not it just doesn't seem to be going anywhere. And I had kind of forgot about the vision a little bit. I mean, I still have it. I still have things about it. And then all of a sudden, um, I started seeing someone for my back here to work on my back. Um, Massage therapist slash, I think she calls her program, what does she call it? Spinal alignment. She has a
So wait a
spinal
second
alignment.
though. And you were sort of judging yourself, right, for having the back pain and having to do that after doing all the work. This
Right.
is the funny part. I love this whole story. This is such a great story. But
Yeah.
anyway, so you were judging yourself about like deciding to go and get this work done because you hadn't been able to alleviate it on your own because it was like a trigger
Yeah.
point for you, right? Because it's like, oh, here's the back pain again, right?
Yeah. No, yeah, no. I mean, I'm like, it's so once that doubt starts coming in and then you start having pain again. And then it's like a cycle. You
Yep.
just kind of go back into the worthiness and the whole
Yep,
thing.
absolutely.
And yeah, so I just kind of had to keep focus on my daily um work. And I worked with this lady, and she mentioned, she's like, well, there's somebody. I told her about my vision. Um because she actually does work a little bit with the medical in her field. She works a little bit with the medical, but also with Eastern and Western medicine combined. But she told me, she said, there's somebody you should meet, because they've talked about a similar vision. And all of a sudden, she texts me and says, hey, we're going to have a meeting in the morning at 9 o'clock. Can you be there? And I'm like, uh, absolutely. So yeah, I sat down with this group of people, and they all had similar visions. In fact, one lady she has a center here now where she shares space with different types of um,
Practitioners.
practitioners. And she had this vision for her center that she had opened, and actually had plans of drawn up. So that's kind of the way it's been. It's somebody else had a little bit of piece here, and somebody else had a little piece here, and so we all shared our vision. And I mean, it's like, okay, let's do this. I am actually on the committee to help develop it, and as
It's
far as what role in I'll play, that's just to be determined. But I'm
but
also I'm also have like trusting. I mean, it's like it's all fell, and so it's made me trust more
you're right.
in the whole process.
Right. Then
Um,
that's sort of the self-fulfilling cycle because the first step is that first trust, right? And then getting to that
right,
trust. And then once you do that and then you get reinforced, well, then, the ego goes, oh, okay, I can trust a little more this time, And not that that goes away because, then you have the other chatter, but how can I do this? Right. And then it's like,
right.
okay, something else happens. And then, I mean, that was a huge thing. Right. And
Yes,
it's such a testament to this kind of work. And not that I'm going to monitor my own work, it's just this kind of work in general. But I love, 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 love that you did not give up on your vision, right? That you allowed it to actualize and you put it on the shelf. And then, I think a lot of what we did together had to do with all the things that, like any of the things that might have blocked you from allowing that to flow through and come together,
right, right. And I mean, I still have work to do. I know there's still work to do, but I'm in a more trusting position. Like, one of the things that I've got recently is, um, my income is pretty much from retiring as a teacher, but also supplementing with uh, online tutoring. And one of the things that I got recently is, it's time to give that up. It's time to stop tutoring. Just let it go.
Yeah.
And I instantly had that, wait, no, that's, I have,
But now you have a little bit of a step, like a step hold on, a little trust, right?
right. And so I asked again. I asked several times to make sure, like, are you sure? Because it's a little scary. I don't have a parachute. It's just jumping
Yeah.
without a parachute.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, I got a solid yes. Yes, it's time. And so I trusted it and immediately let it go.
Well, but now you've got an opening, a space for you to allow it, whatever's next, to
Yes.
sort of fill in, right? So, okay. I love, like, I wanted to talk about this just because it was such a great manifesting story. And I was so excited when I mean, it was so funny. You called me when I was going, like, in an airport. I was literally waiting to get on a flight. And I was like, oh, this is interesting. Wonder what Andrew wants. And I answered the phone and you're telling me this whole story. And I was like, oh, that just perked up my entire day. Cause I love when that comes together for people I work with, because it's like, well, that's the goal, is for us to become and allow ourselves to be the best us that we can be.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
so, anything else you want to add? Like, what would you say was the most, what's been one of the most helpful things about working with me when we've worked together?
Um, it's a lot of times I overthink, and I mean, and you know that. You know that very well with me. I overthink.
Everybody
And
overthinks on some days, including myself. So I'm with you. Yeah. Yeah.
and so you have been very good at um keeping me grounded in where I'm overthinking and overshooting. You bring me back down to where I can see what's really going on, because a lot of times that it's fear, like you said, it's it's fear growing, and I just get kind of over anxious and don't see what's right in front of me. Kind of like your podcast, the seeing the hidden messages.
Yeah.
that- You
Absolutely.
hide them from yourselves. I mean, and that's crazy, but you do. You hide it from yourself. You don't see it.
Right in front of right in front of your face too, right? Hidden in plain
Yes.
sight. Yes. And I know, that's what I love. I love that, because of when I help you or help other people, it's like I help myself too, because I'm like, oh, look at that.
Yeah.
I see that. I see what that's doing
Yeah.
for me.
And it's
So,
crazy because a lot of people think, well, you've experienced this, you've done this, you know how to, yeah, you do, but you blind yourself. I mean, and to me, talking to you, it sometimes I would see it myself. Sometimes you would have to give me a little nudge. But either way, I would get there. I would get there, um and
well,
so
a lot of times when we do our work intuitively, and like, and because there's this straddling, because we still have to live here, right? So the intuitive thing is getting back to core while still doing, which is the
right.
ego says that's my job. But then I need to overthink if I'm going to do, and the consciousness says no, 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 we can flow. And it's a constant back and forth, no matter how long. And what I tell people is, it doesn't matter if you've done this for a week or you've done it for a decade or 5 decades. It doesn't matter, because we are doing the human experience, and that's really, we're sort of
Yeah.
here to walk each other home, and that's the way I sort of like to see it.